I, female 34, lost my husband when I was 4 months pregnant with our third child. I've gone through a challenging period trying to balance everything in my life while taking care of my kids. I don't have a large family to help, and my husband came from foster care and has never seen his bio family. I have a brother, Austin, who's younger than me. He loves my kids and is a caring uncle. He's always ready to watch my kids anytime I ask and help with whatever, but his girlfriend isn't always welcoming my kids. I've arranged for my kids to stay with Austin when I have my scheduled C-section. He said he was available. I asked again and told him it was okay if he couldn't and would just get a sitter, but he threw a fit and shamed me for saying that, stating we are here for each other. I had him come take the kids on the day of the operation, and he said he'd stay in contact with the doctors. Everything went well and my newborn son was healthy. However, I had some small complications, but nothing major. The nurse came in to tell me my kids were there. I was confused as she explained that my brother had dropped them off and they were staying with the nurse. I was shocked. I freaked out thinking something serious must have happened. Otherwise, why would he drop my kids off at the hospital after he agreed to watch them? I asked to contact Austin quickly, and he didn't reply till later, saying his girlfriend had an emergency. Her car broke down outside the supermarket and demanded he fixes it for her. He said he had no choice but to bring the kids to where I was staying after his girlfriend pressured him to help, even though he explained the situation to her. But she lashed out, asking why my kids were more important than her. I was so mad and felt let down. I argued with him about how he didn't help me in my roughest times and that he shouldn't bring my kids to the hospital, especially since the last time they've been to a hospital was to see their dad, which was traumatizing to them. He eventually hung up and had the kids taken by my neighbor, who's a really sweet lady. Austin called the next day, asking if I was home to come meet my son, but I said no. He got upset, saying that I couldn't be mad at him because he had no choice and that this was his nephew and he had the right to see him. I said I wouldn't let him come visit my son after the stunt he pulled on me, knowing I was counting on him to keep my kids safe under his care. He got pushy and insisted, saying he'll show up anyway, but I said I wouldn't let him in, and I'm serious. He said I was treating him unfairly and being too hard on him after he's already done so much for me. He asked if Justin would want this because I was not letting him be a father figure to my kids. I angrily told him to leave my husband out of it and hung up. We haven't seen or talked to each other since then. I'm mad, but I feel like I was unfair by not letting him meet my son. Not the idiot. Am I the only one who thinks the girlfriend broke her car so she could make the brother choose? A sick little power play. OP, you can't even trust your brother with your kids while this woman is in the picture. I thought this immediately. But seriously, my sister's counting on me after her husband died and is giving birth alone? The girlfriend was a baby and could have figured it out, but she was petty by making him choose her over the kids. OP, father figures don't abandon kids at the hospital when their mother is giving birth. Likewise, father figures don't give in to their girlfriend's childish tantrums. Don't let him near your kids. And I'm blown away by the audacity of your brother. Can his girlfriend call AAA? Or a tow truck? She has no family or friends? Yes, your kids should be more important than helping a grown idiot woman deal with her car. You are rightfully upset that he let you down in an extremely stupid way when you needed him. And then trying to guilt you by bringing your husband into it? Ridiculous. He can meet your son after he apologizes. My husband has an 18-year-old daughter who moved in with us last year after being kicked out of her mom's. She doesn't work, doesn't go to college, mouths off to me, doesn't pick up after herself, doesn't babysit, doesn't help out, and I'm at my wit's end. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 2 sons, baby and toddler, and have to take care of them by myself. My husband works night shifts, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 3 days a week, usually Monday through Wednesday. Sometimes he works overtime. His daughter sleeps on the couch in the living room because we don't have a spare room. She leaves empty wrappers, soda cans, plates with food, her clothes, etc. out everywhere in the living room and calls me every name in the book when I ask her to please clean up after herself. She tells me I'm not her dad and I can't make her do anything. I brought this up to my husband and he said it's not a big deal and I need to leave her alone. When I ask her to please walk the 6-year-old to school in the morning, it's a 15-minute walk. All I hear from her is pretty much, not my kid, not my problem. I've asked her to help clean up around the house, and she tells me to hire a maid. I have asked her not to eat in the living room numerous times, and she never listens. Instead, she stays up late at night making noise FaceTiming her friends, and has woken both kids up numerous times. When we have family outings with all 5 of us, my husband and his daughter go off and do whatever. Or he leaves me at home with the kids and goes off with his daughter for hours on his day off and tells me he needs to spend time with his daughter. He recently took his daughter and our 6-year-old to an arcade and bought both of them energy drinks on the way back. I don't allow my kids to eat or drink sugar, and I was livid. He did that behind my back. He laughed and said it's just an energy drink. He'll be fine. He doesn't need energy drinks. He's hyper enough. Husband has blown off our date nights to have movie nights at home with his daughter. I got dressed up and everything. Kids went to a babysitter, just for him to sit at home and argue that he never gets to spend time with his daughter and that I'm too harsh with her. I am completely fed up with all of this. The disrespect his daughter gives me. My husband takes her side over mine. How I have no help and nobody cares. I'm exhausted. I want to kick her out tonight while my husband is at work. There is no talking to her. She will walk away, scream, and swear at you. The only person she listens to is my husband. Not the idiot. Alternatively, you could pack your stuff and your kids and get out to an environment that isn't so toxic. Single parenting can't possibly be harder than co-parenting with someone who fails to support / actively undermines you. This is it, OP. When are your days off? Your husband works all night, then presumably sleeps most of the day. He spends days off doing fun stuff with his adult child. When do you get some alone time? The daughter doesn't work, doesn't go to school, doesn't help out around the house, but lazes around in your common spaces? When your kids are asleep and the chores are done, is there anywhere for you to unwind? Can you relax with this adult child glaring and calling you names for the high crime of being asked to empty the dishwasher? These people are awful. Leave before your kids ends up like his. I agree. OP, you're not the idiot, but the biggest problem isn't your stepdaughter. It's your husband. How can he allow anyone to disrespect you like this and believe everything his daughter says but not you? He married you. He shouldn't treat you this way. Also, why doesn't he clean up after his daughter? It looks like he really doesn't care about you or the other children and that he wants someone to babysit his daughter while he enjoys the fun parts like outings with her. You are the idiot if you kick her out behind his back. So the dad works 3 nights a week. So obviously there's a lot of time to communicate between you two. How you all got this far without figuring out how to set boundaries and expectations is beyond me. It sounds like his daughter's having a hard time. It doesn't excuse her behavior or mistreatment of others. Kicking her out isn't going to help. Leave her mess for your husband to clean up. His daughter, his problem. He's tired from work? Tough. Go pick up after your young adult. I married my current wife, Barbara, 38, 2 years ago. She and my daughter, Molly, teen, get along well. They have lots of interests in common, including makeup. Molly loves makeup, especially the more expensive stuff. She unfortunately cannot afford expensive brands because of money, and so she started taking my wife's makeup. My wife works as a nurse and has experience with makeup brands that she says are the best. So she buys her own makeup, which in my opinion is expensive compared to what Molly has. My wife wasn't okay with Molly taking her makeup and brushes and damaging them, but didn't want to say anything out of politeness. This went on for 2 months. Molly has so far cost my wife money replacing expensive makeup that she kept taking without asking. I, of course, had many conversations with Molly about it, and her argument is always that women can share makeup. And besides, this is family, and her stepmom is like a mother to her, so why not take each other's stuff? I told her to stop, and at least ask her stepmom before taking anything from the bedroom. She just shrugged and walked away. Days ago, my wife told me Molly took a whole set of makeup products and hadn't returned it, then said she threw it away when asked about it. I was mad for my wife, since she said she couldn't tell Molly how upset she was and would just buy a replacement. So I went out and bought my wife a lockbox and suggested she store her makeup there, and she agreed. I sat with Molly and told her she was punished for what she did, and she happily took the punishment, but threw a temper tantrum after I told her that I got my wife a lockbox to keep her makeup and how sad I was that things had come to that. She said I didn't understand that it's logical and not weird to use her mother's makeup products, but I argued that it was unacceptable, and just because my wife said nothing doesn't mean what Molly was doing was okay. She started crying, saying I know that she cannot afford the makeup she used from her stepmom and that her stepmom can't afford it, and now I'm forcing her to go back to using cheap makeup that damages her skin. She called me mean and selfish instead of encouraging her shared interest in makeup with her stepmom. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She thinks it's okay to steal from people she loves? That's just messed up logic on all levels. Plus, the whole point of being an adult is to slowly afford all that crap you couldn't have as a teenager. It's a rite of passage she needs to understand. Not the idiot. Your daughter needs therapy or something. It is not okay that she's 16 and doesn't understand that she needs to at least ask before using someone's stuff and needs to return it in good condition, especially when she's been talked to before. That is not okay behavior. A lockbox isn't going to fix that. Not the idiot. You don't share makeup products. Things like eye infections, cold sores, staph infections, and acne are good reasons not to share products. Although it may cost you some, shell out for better makeup for the kid. She will appreciate it, and better makeup is better for her skin. Also, she won't need to borrow if she has parity with your wife in the makeup department. Yes, reward the child for stealing, throwing tantrums, and destroying someone else's property. Brilliant idea. OP, your daughter is stealing from your wife and continues to do so after being told to stop. If Molly wants the more expensive items, she can get a job and work for it, or ask for a few as birthday/Christmas presents. Accepting the punishment and then throwing a tantrum about the lockbox proves that she was planning to steal makeup from your wife again. My parents resent me for being born. They were 19 when they had me, and I ruined their plans for college and their lives. So they kept me, but they told me in the heat of the moment, when I asked too much from them, they have expressed their resentment for me. My parents had my brothers and sisters starting when I was 8. Now I'm nearly adult and they have 5 kids, me included. They love my siblings. They go above and beyond for them, always have. And they expect me to not only be okay with that, but they want me to also go above and beyond for them. They have told me I'm not a team player, that I'm not a good sister. I'm not doing what I should as the oldest. I work and go to school. I babysit as a side gig too. I have money that I save. I never spend it on my siblings. It drives my parents crazy. I've been paying for my food for the last 2 years, and I don't really interact with anyone. It came to a head about a week ago when my young sister wanted this specific Halloween costume after being teased for the one my parents bought her. My parents couldn't afford a new one and asked me to buy her whatever she wanted. I said no. My sister ended up asking me herself because mom and dad couldn't. When I said no again, my parents blew a fuse and said I wasn't a team player and wanted my siblings to have the best. They said I should love my siblings enough to make their lives the best possible and that I should stop being selfish and immature. I told them they should have been better parents and created a family instead of making me the outsider, and that it's not my job to ensure their favorite children get the life they never wanted to provide for me. They said it's not their fault they didn't want to have me. I told them it wasn't mine, and I had no say in being born or being kept. I said I do have a say in what happens when I turn 18, and said screw them, because I was not going to keep being punished for my birth. My siblings heard the fight, and I can see they're upset that I'm not more loving and invested in them. So I guess that's why I ask, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They are hypocrites. They resent you for ruining their lives, but they had 4 other kids because of you, and they seem to be happy to have these other kids. If they willingly had other kids, then they can't have anything against you. They weren't a team player when not including you in the family. Instead, they expect you to use your hard-earned money to pay for something they want since they couldn't get their lives together. Not the idiot, not in the slightest. You were not responsible for your birth. They were. It's not fair of them to consistently punish you for not acting as a third parent to their subsequent offspring. Parentification at its finest. Your parents scapegoated you for their poor decisions, which is a truly disgusting thing for them to have done. I do have sympathy for the younger kids, as they seem to be caught in the middle, and as a result, are missing out on an older sibling and all the cool benefits that can come along with that. My 30, girlfriend 30, of 5 years just started working again after studying for a year. She was contributing a bit from her savings, but not a huge amount. She has a bit of money saved up, but isn't saving a lot at the minute. So I make $100K and she makes $35K, and we split rent and utilities 70% me, 30% her. Her best friend died last year, and her mom, so she has been struggling mental health-wise, and I've been paying for therapy. We were talking about our plans for next year, and I've been invited to 2 destination weddings. Plus, we've been talking about going abroad together. In order to afford to go away together, I RSVP'd no to one of the weddings. My friend asked me why, and I explained I was already traveling too much and could not afford this. So he offered to pay for my flight. He's really rich. Based on this, I can afford both destination weddings without my girlfriend and the trip we talked about together. I plan to help her pay for this trip. When I talked to her, she got really upset and said we were meant to go places as a couple, and how selfish I was being by going away alone twice in the same year. I explained to her that my friend was paying for one of my flights and that I've been sitting in the same spot for a year and a half due to the global issue. I've saved every cent I could outside of helping her pay for her computer and books, so I really want to go on holiday next year. I also said that she wouldn't be able to afford to go to the wedding either way, so I didn't think it was fair that I was expected to either pay for her to go or stay at home. She said she's not expecting me to pay for her, but she wants me to pick only one wedding, even though it's not an issue for time off or money. My friends have said her request is outrageous, but her friends say that people don't just go away alone when they're in relationships. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're partially supporting her. These are your friends' weddings. It sounds like she's resentful or feels bad that she can't afford to go, so she makes you choose so she doesn't feel left out. I can see where she's coming from, but asking you not to do it is wrong. Keep in mind this could be linked to her current issues, and I'd suggest working on it with her and asking her to speak to her therapist about it. Not the idiot. Maybe I'm biased because of my relationship, but I don't think you have to be attached at the hip to your partner. I find it perfectly acceptable for my partner or me to go places without each other. You are allowed to enjoy yourself, even if you are a couple. You're already paying for a vast majority of the stuff for her, which is so nice of you, by the way. Good job. But at some point, you need to take care of yourself as well. Everyone's the idiot. You've been together 5 years and lived together. Was she not invited to the weddings? Why is your friend keen on paying for you, but not your girlfriend if he's so rich? Obviously, no one should expect a free vacation, but it's odd that your SO is not going to be there. I think it's fine to spend time apart, even as a couple, but it does seem you are a bit indifferent to go to a destination wedding without your SO, especially when you say they are exotic vacations. You are the idiot. You're behaving like someone single, not someone who has been in a relationship for 5 years and is living together. I'm assuming you were both invited to these weddings, or it was a +1 scenario. If not, that should have been your reason for declining. Otherwise, you should have told him, we can't afford this many trips. You're a couple now.